headlines this hour: federal government seeks concerted efforts in fight against drug abuse. And crude oil sales receipt takeover by the Central Bank of Nigeria illegal, says Atiku. Plus, cancer rates to increase to 77% by 2050, says United Nations. Well, hello and a very warm welcome. This is News Live on Viewer Television. I am Chinonso Chekwas. We begin the news tonight with one of our top stories as the federal government has called on relevant stakeholders to make concerted efforts towards ending drug abuse among youth in the country so as to prepare them for employability, entrepreneurship, as well as future leaders. Mr. Ayodele Olawande, the Minister of State in the Ministry of Youth Development, made the call during a working visit to the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime in Abuja. Olawande said that the ministry was planning to establish an institution that will be known as the Nigerian Youth Academy, NIA. He said in the institutions, youths will be taken through some training to engage them in meaningful ventures in order to avoid the temptation of drug abuse and crime. The minister noted that lack of engagements, unemployment and skill gaps have led to an increase in the consumption and abuse of drugs among the youth. And former Vice President Atiku Abubakar has kicked against the recent directive by President Bola Tinubu for the Central Bank of Nigeria to take over the responsibility for crude oil sales from Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, NNPCL, describing it as illegal. Reports had suggested that for purposes of transparency and accountability, the president had ordered the NNPCL to submit receipts for crude oil sales to the Apex Bank for vetting and documentation. Meanwhile, in a reaction, the presidential candidate of the main opposition People's Democratic Party in 2023 said the order is a violation of the legal status of the NNPCL. And according to him, by doing so, President Tinubu has wrested control of the finances of the oil company and donated it to the Federal Ministry of Finance and the CBN. He argued that state-owned enterprises are not subject to such arbitrary orders and have full control over their finances based on laws establishing them. And the customs officials at the Delhi International Airport in India have arrested a Nigerian woman whose identity was not disclosed for allegedly smuggling cocaine worth 75 million naira into the country. An official statement issued on Thursday, February the 1st of 2024, disclosed that the accused was intercepted after she arrived from Addis Ababa in Ethiopia on Tuesday. On thorough baggage search, some material was found concealed inside two blue-colored trolley bags carried by the passenger. The statement further disclosed that a detailed examination of the bags yielded a total of 5.8 kilograms of white powdery substance suspected to be narcotics. On being subjected to diagnostic test, prima facie, it appears to contain a commercial quantity of cocaine having an international value of Rs 82,446, which is equivalent to 75 million naira. The statement added that the passenger was arrested and the narcotic was seized. And National Security Advisor Nuhu Ribadu has barred personnel of the National Security and Civil Defense Corps, NSCDC, Nigeria Immigration Service, and Federal Fire Service from using camouflage outfits. A January 16 circular issued by Mr. Ribadu's office referenced the 2015 National Security Council resolution, which resolved to restrict the use of camouflage to armed forces and the police when on joint operations. The decision was to address the proliferation and imitation of military wear by criminals and imposters, and was seen as a pathway for enhancing Nigeria's national security. However, the directive, according to the circular, has been loosely adhered to, with personnel of the Fire Service, Immigration, and NSCDC, including camouflage uniforms in their dress code, thus disregarding the ban on the use of the uniforms. According to Mr. Ribadu, the disregard for the ban and its continuous use makes the outfit easily accessible to criminals and imposters, thereby exacerbating the already challenging security situation facing the country. The NSA stressed that the need to enforce the ban followed the rise in the use of camouflage outfits to launch deadly attacks on communities. The national chairman of the Association of Online Media Practitioners in Nigeria, Mogaji Arise Kola, has decried the activities of all economic saboteurs planning to hinder progress in reform being implemented by President Bola Tinubu's administration in the oil and gas industry. According to his statement, wherever any meaningful reforms take place in the world, even in the West, there will surely be people showing resistance. He urged the government to ignore such occurrence and forge ahead with efforts to develop the state. Arise Kola lauded the president's inputs in the petroleum sector, adding that the improvements in the country's main source of revenue generation is now expanding the frontiers of good governance, blocking leakages, and deepening democratic practice in Nigeria. And speaking at a policy dialogue in Lagos, he said that the dialogue seeks to consider the economic, financial, and social implications of not embracing reforms in the petroleum sector. And thankfully, President Tinubu has shown capacity, direction, purpose, and willingness to add value to our petroleum industry. And when NEWSLIVE returns, in a devastating incident, at least 3 individuals lost their lives and more than 270 people sustained injuries as a truck carrying gas exploded in the Kenyan capital, as reported by the police. The details of this and more comes to you right after the break.
Of polo, it's my life. Polo is good, though I just started and I'm still learning the basics. But I hope to be a pro in this game, and God being by my side, I know everything will be fine. I started 4 months ago. I started stick and ball 4 months ago, though I attended the riding course in Pakistan. I've learned the riding basics, but the game of polo 4 months ago, I started stick and ball. Every day we mount on the horse, we pray. And once you come down, as you can see, I was about ending and I fell from the horse. It's a normal thing. In horse riding, if you don't fall, you've not started yet. So you need to train. You can see I'm sweating, I'm eating banana, it's part of it. You must train, you must eat well, and you must learn properly. I've chosen polo to be my own sport, and I've always looked up to people like General Kazir Fire, General MSA Aliu, Colonel Waibelu, and General Laka. A few of them, I've looked up to these people. These are great polo players, and they've always encouraged me to play the game of polo.
Good morning, gentlemen. I'm at the Envoy Hotel, Diplomatic Drive 305, here for a business weekend. It's been an amazing stay. Conference hall and business facilities here are stylish and innovative. The Envoy Hotel is luxury, esoteric, opulence, for ultimate comfort.
those discerning travelers, we are more than just a place to stay. We are an icon of comfort, style, and thoughtful luxury. We are Envoy Hotel.
Welcome back. If you're just joining us, this is News Live on Viewer Television, and now let's give you a recap of our top stories. Federal government seeks conceited efforts in fight against drug abuse. And crude oil sales receipt takeover by the Central Bank of Nigeria illegal, says Atiku. Plus, cancer rates to increase to 77% by 2050, says the United Nations. The completion of the 2023 Plateau Rapid Assessment of Avoidable Blindness project marks the conclusion of a standardized survey methodology. And this approach was specifically crafted to assess the prevalence and causes of visual impairment among individuals aged 50 and above. Additionally, the project aimed to evaluate the effectiveness of service in reaching diverse demographic groups within Plateau State. Dr. Alice, a consultant ophthalmologist with JUTE and the principal investigator research for the Plateau State RAAB Project 2023, disclosed that there are alarming discoveries from the field which required collective efforts of stakeholders to end the high cases of blindness in the state. Our correspondent Nasir Saidu was at Crispin Hotels and Suites in Jos, the Plateau State capital, and here's the report.
The Plateau State Rapid Assessment of Avoidable Blindness 2023 project involves services that are reaching different groups of people in Plateau State.
The major reason why people were not getting cataract surgeries done, we found at the survey, was due to cost. And although cataract surgery is relatively cheap here in Plateau State, but still, because our population is generally poor, which the survey also revealed that the poverty level is higher than the national average, up to 45%. So that was what we found. So we were hoping that, government and spirited individuals would buy into eye care and help, reduce the out-of-pocket expenditure.
We are here to have a planning meeting with major stakeholders in Plateau State. When I say we, I mean Site Savers and Christopher Blender Mission support the Plateau State government in setting up an eye health program. We had a very successful year last year where we spent time looking at what is available and how we can support the state. And this year, what we want to do is plan how we are going to really roll out services, particularly in the southern and central part of the plateau, making sure that people who have any eye condition have their eye screened, and also if they need glasses or surgeries, they will have that surgeries there. And if they have to be referred, they'll be referred to one of the teaching hospitals in Jos.
CBM firstly has a long-standing relationship with Plateau State. Beyond the eye health program where we're doing right now, we have been in the state for over 10 years. And when we were called upon to collaborate with the same state and site savers, and we saw that there was a need, there was a gap in eye health. We saw it as an opportunity to strengthen the eye health system of the state.
Following the conclusion of this research and the subsequent stakeholders meeting, there is an optimistic outlook that concerted efforts are on the way to tackle the increasing instances of blindness throughout Plateau State. Nasru Saidu, Viewer TV News, Jos.
The federal government has expressed its commitment to achieving the 77% surge in internally generated revenue as part of its strategy to stimulate economic growth and finance vital infrastructure projects nationwide. The Minister of Finance and Economy, Wale Edun, disclosed this while inspecting the lagoon section of the Third Mainland Carter and Echo bridges. Edun, who was accompanied by the Minister of Works, David Umahi, promised adequate funding for infrastructure in line with the core agenda of President Bola Tinubu to further grow the nation's economy. He restated Tinubu's commitment to grow, restore, and digitalize the economy through infrastructural development, putting policies in place and blocking long-standing leakages caused by fuel subsidy. The minister urged the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation Limited to take advantage of opportunities in the oil market to shore up revenue for the nation. And Justice Mobolaji Olajuwon of the Federal High Court in Abuja has refused to dismiss the terrorism charges brought against 5 loyalists of Governor Siminalayi Fubara of Rivers State. The judge declined to terminate the charges as requested by Honorable Edison Ehai, the current chief of staff to the governor. The court held that Ehai, who was the factional speaker of Rivers State House of Assembly, lacked legal powers to request for dismissal of the charges. Olajuwon upheld the submission of the counsel to the Inspector General of Police, Simon Law, a senior advocate of Nigeria, that Ehai was not yet competent to make any application until he appears in court to take his plea in the terrorism charges. Ehai, through his lawyer, Oluwole Aladedoyi, a senior advocate of Nigeria, had applied that the criminal charges against him and others be dropped on various grounds. He claimed that the Federal High Court in Abuja has no jurisdiction to entertain the trial because the alleged offenses were committed in Port Harcourt, Rivers State. He also claimed that he had not been indicted by the police for any offense. The request was, however, vehemently opposed on the ground that Ehai had not yet appeared before the court to take his plea. The Comptroller General of Nigeria Customs Service, Bashir Adewale Adeniyi, has reiterated that the cumulative effects of 2023 being an election year, cash crunch, naira redesign, and other factors led to the drastic reduction on customs revenue. He stated this at an interactive session with the House of Representatives Committee on Customs. The interactive session was on the review of the service's 2023 budget performance and its 2024 proposed budget. And in his address, Chairman of the committee, Rep. Leke Abejidi, said over the 4 budget cycle, the committee has witnessed the emphasis placed on e-customs for trade facilitation and other economic contributions, of the process. And according to him, the impact of e-customs cannot be overemphasized, adding that its understanding will make a more technologically advanced custom. He noted that budget framework must align with the main objective of a reformed customs that will go with the time and deliver its mandate. Bejedi said the committee will intensify its oversight function to ensure adherence to the set objectives of the law.
And G, the service is looking forward to the era of cargo tracking in collaboration with relevant government agencies, particularly the Nigeria Shippers Council, for effective monitoring of cargo vessel movements to avoid diversion. And H, this is a process that is already ongoing, is the congestion of the nation's seaports. It is planned to ensure that we have efficient and effective port operation, which at the end would guarantee more revenue. We must also add that our anti-smuggling campaign, using all required operational guide as provided within the confines of our laws, would be intensified in 2024. This would be to ensure that illicit trade that creates spares for revenue leakages as well as economic sabotage are reduced to the barest minimum.
Today, as we stand on the course of progress, the committee seeks insight from you, the Comptroller General of Customs, on the tangible impact this modernization endeavor has brought to the Nigeria Customs Service. We are eager to learn about the impact of this e-customs modernization, the number of scanners deployed and functional, and the integration of artificial intelligence in our border stations. Understanding these facets is vital for assessing the efficacy of our collective efforts in steering custom and excise operations towards a more efficient and technologically advanced future. At this juncture, the committee wishes to express its gratitude.
The Minister of Power, Mr. Adebayo Adelabu, says the federal government is to set up a committee to resolve power blackouts in some parts of the country. Adelabu said this in a statement posted on his official X account after a meeting with electricity distribution and generation companies on Friday in Abuja. The minister said that resolving the issues of gas supply was top priority in the Ministry of Power agenda. Adelabu said that a plan had also been established to initiate discussions with the Minister of State for Petroleum Resources regarding collaboration and to emphasize the importance of prioritizing gas to power. He said that during the meeting, indebtedness to GENCOs by Nigeria Bulk Electricity Trading Company was also addressed. And he also said that the commitment of the Ministry of Power in addressing challenges affecting the power supply was unwavering. And now on to some political matters. 6 former cabinet members who served in the administration of late ex-governor of Ondo State, Oluwarotimi Akeredolu, have been nominated by Governor Lucky Ayedatiwa as commissioners and special advisors. Ayedatiwa forwarded 6 commissioner nominees and 3 special advisors to the State House of Assembly yesterday for screening and subsequent confirmation. The governor, who disclosed this to the press through his chief press secretary, Ebenezer Adenio, listed the commissioner nominees to include Mrs. Omowumi Isaac, Olukayode Eajola, Razak Obe, Emmanuel Igbasan, Akinwumi Sore, and Oseni Oyeniyi. The special advisor nominees are Olugbenga Omole, the special advisor on information and strategy, Mrs. Olamide Falana, special advisor on gender affairs, and Alabi Johnson, special advisor on energy. And in the commissioner nominees list, Ajulo was the only one who did not serve in the administration of Akeredolu but got a political appointment under former governor Mimiko. He has been projected to be the Attorney General and Commissioner for Justice. And you're still watching News Live on Viewer Television. Business and international news comes to you right after the break. Do stay tuned.
In this 21st century where all the information we need is now in the palm of our hands. News from around the world, entertainment, celebrity gossip, sports, and much more. The only thing that you need is the right source. Viewer TV is now on the go. Simply check us out on our social media pages on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and Twitter for all the information you need.
Many thanks for staying with us now on Business News tonight. The Naira pared some of its recent losses against the dollar as markets digested the latest policy decisions from the Central Bank of Nigeria to prop up the country's embattled currency. On Wednesday, the CBN ordered banks to reduce their excessive foreign exchange exposure by February 1st in a bid to shore up dollar supply. It said the net open position limit of banks' overall foreign currency assets and liabilities, both on and off balance sheet, should not exceed 20% short or 0% long of shareholders' funds unimpaired by losses using the gross aggregate method. The Apex Bank also removed the cap on exchange rates quoted by international money transfer operators, allowing them to quote exchange rates for Naira payouts to beneficiaries using the prevailing market rates on a willing seller, willing buyer basis. Previously, IMTOs were required to quote rates within an allowable limit of minus 2.5% to plus 2.5% around the previous day's closing rate of the Nigerian foreign exchange market. And also, the Central Bank of Nigeria has established a minimum operating capital requirement for international money transfer operators at $1 million for foreign entities and an equivalent amount for local IMTOs. This significant development was outlined in the revised guidelines for the operation of IMTOs, which were officially released on January 31st of 2024. According to the guidelines, applicants must adhere to the CBN's anti-money laundering, combating definancing and terrorism, and countering proliferation, financing of weapons of mass destruction regulations. These regulations are detailed in the CBN guidelines for licensing banks and other financial institutions in Nigeria. And IMTOs intending to operate in Nigeria are required to submit their applications to the Director of Trade and Exchange Department along with various documentation. The federal government, through the Central Bank of Nigeria, has raised the exchange rate for cargo clearance from 952 naira to a dollar to 1,356 naira to the dollar. And this is coming weeks after the rate was increased from 783 naira to a dollar to 952 naira to a dollar. In November, the exchange rate for cargo clearance was raised from 757 to 783 naira, representing a 3.4% increase, and was later raised from 783 to 952 naira to a dollar in December. However, our correspondents observed on Friday that the new rate has been reflected on the portal of the Nigeria Customs Service. Reacting to this, a member of the Association of Nigerian Licensed Customs Agents, Remilekun Siriku, in a chat with the press said it's quite unfortunate that the prices of goods and commodities will automatically increase. Importation will further decrease and depreciate. Vehicle prices will skyrocket yet again. And the Niger Delta Development Commission said it will revive its rice mill at Elele Alimini in the Imohu local government area of Rivers State. NDDC said the revival of the 180 tons per day rice mill in Imoho was part of its efforts to ensure food security in the region. The NDDC Executive Director, Project Victor Antai, who stated this during an inspection visit to the rice mill, described the suspension of production at the factory as disheartening. In a statement by the NDDC Director of Corporate Affairs, Pius Ugupeteni, Antai explained that the rice mill was established as part of NDDC's industrialization strategies, even as he expressed optimism that when it returns to full production, the factory will create employment opportunities for the youth. And now on the international scene, in a stating revelation, UN health authorities have sounded the alarm on a projected 77% increase in global cancer cases by the mid-century. The International Agency for Research on Cancer, a specialized branch of the UN World Health Organization, has unveiled the latest figures, predicting a staggering rise to over 35 million cancer cases in 2050, up from the estimated 20 million recorded in 2022. The surge in cancer cases is attributed to a combination of factors, including population aging, overall population growth, and shifts in exposure to risk factors such as tobacco, alcohol, and obesity. Additionally, air pollution plays a significant role in this concerning trend. Whether nations are anticipated to bear the brunt of this increase, with an expected additional 4.8 million new cases in 2050. And on the other hand, low and middle income countries are poised to experience a high proportional surge in cancer cases, coupled with a nearly doubling mortality rate. And this projection, sourced from the IARC's Global Cancer Observatory, draw a comprehensive data from 185 countries encompassing 36 different types of cancer. As the world grapples with these looming health crises, urgent attention and global collaboration are imperative to address the complex web of factors contributing to the impending surge in cancer cases. And stay tuned for further updates on this critical issue. And in a devastating incident, at least 3 individuals lost their lives and more than 270 people sustained injuries as a truck carrying gas exploded in the Kenyan capital, as reported by the police. Firefighters successfully gained control over the raging inferno around 9 a.m., over 9 hours after the initial explosion, according to an AFP journalist present at the scene. The explosion triggered a colossal ball of fire that spread extensively, as stated by government spokesman Isaac Maigu Unwaru in a post on X. The aftermath witnessed several damage to numerous vehicles and commercial establishments, impacting many small and medium-sized businesses. And sadly, residential houses in the neighborhood also caught fire, with a significant number of residents still inside due to the late night timing, he added. The incident unfolded just before midnight on Thursday in the Embakasi neighborhood southeast of the capital. Local media showcased images of a massive fireball near several homes. Recounting the harrowing experience, Felix Kirwa, a motorcycle taxi driver, shared that he had just returned home when 2 blasts resonated, shaking his house and shattering a window. China's economic slowdown is likely to persist in the coming years as the Asian giant struggles with surging productivity and a rapidly aging population. The International Monetary Fund said this. The world's second largest economy last year saw some of its slowest growth in decades as a debt crisis in the property sector added to geopolitical tensions and weakening global demand. An IMF report forecasts growth to decline further to 3.5% by 2028 amid headwinds from weak productivity and population aging, adding that uncertainty surrounding the outlook is high. It previously forecast growth of 4.6% for this year. Driving the slowdown is a years-long crisis in the country's real estate market, once a key growth pillar, but now mired in debts that may threaten China's financial system. Property giant Evergrande has become a symbol of the sector's woes, raking up astronomical debts of more than $30 billion. And Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is engaged in intense political maneuvering as pressure grows at home and abroad to release hostages held in Gaza and bring fighting to a halt. A proposal to free the hostages in exchange for a pause in Israel's offensive in the Palestinian territory is being studied by Hamas leaders after it was trashed out by Israel, Qatar, Egypt, and the United States. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken is expected in Israel soon for talks with Netanyahu on the proposal, but far-right members of Israel's ruling coalition have said they will bring down Netanyahu's government if the proposal is agreed, with National Security Minister Itamar Ben-Gvir warning in Parliament on Wednesday that a dangerous deal means the dissolution of the government. As public outrage steadily grows over the hostages, Netanyahu is working to keep his extreme right allies on side despite their threats to war, experts say.
לא בעזה, לא בלבנון, לא בסוריה ולא בשום מקום. מי שמנסה לפגוע בנו, אנחנו פוגעים בו. בעניין חטופינו, אנחנו החזרנו עד היום 110 מהחטופים הביתה, אנחנו מחויבים להחזיר את כולם. זהו אחד מיעדי המלחמה, והלחץ הצבאי הוא תנאי הכרחי להשלמתו. אני עובד בעניין הזה סביב השעון, אבל שיהיה ברור, אני דוחה על הסף את תנאי הקנייה של מפלצות החמאס. החמאס דורש תמורת שחרור חטופינו את סיום המלחמה, הוצאת כוחותינו מעזה, שחרור כל הרוצחים והאנסים של הנוח'בה, והשארת חמאס על כנו. אם נסכים לכך, לוחמינו נפלו לשווא. אם נסכים לכך, לא נוכל להבטיח את ביטחון אזרחינו, לא נוכל להחזיר את המפונים בבטחה לבתיהם, וה7 באוקטובר הבא יהיה רק עניין של זמן. אני לא מוכן להשלים עם פגיעה אנושה כזאת בביטחון ישראל, ולכן לא נסכים לכך.
And that's all on NEWSLIVE, but before we go, let's give you a recap of our headlines. Federal government seeking conceited efforts in the fight against drug abuse. And crude oil sales receipt takeover by the Central Bank of Nigeria is illegal, says Atiku. Plus, cancer rates to increase to 77% by 2050, says the United Nations. And many thanks for watching. I am Chinonso Chekwas. Please do stay tuned and enjoy the rest of our programs. Have a good night.